Welcome back. It's Melda from Three Scrappy Sisters. I have another Smash Stash video for you, and this is a 12 by 12 layout that I have created using various Studio Calico kits that I had laying around in my stash, and some pieces here and there from just random pieces in my stash that I'm not really exactly sure where they came from. I'm going to start with a blank white paper, and I'm going to just smear some gesso all over it. This is a pretty simple process, but I left it as part of the video just to show you this absolutely amazing squeegee that my sister had. We were at the retreat, and she just showed it to us. She said she bought it at her local scrapbook store. It's Ranger ink, I believe, and it's just a rubber kind of squeegee that is just absolutely amazing. It allows you to apply the gesso very thinly, and which in turn I love, because then you don't have to wait forever for it to dry, and then it doesn't warp the paper too much. So I have let it dry for a couple minutes, and now I am just going to start layering my photos. I have two photos that they're about the bigger one is about 3 by 2, and the other one is about 3 by 1.5, I would say. And they are photos of my son the day after he lost his first tooth. And he had placed it on the pillow, and of course the tooth fairy came and brought him some money. So the bigger picture is of my son holding his $5 that he got from the tooth fairy. Yes, tooth fairy prices have gone up. I remember when I was younger, I think we would get maybe 50 cents or $1 if we were lucky. But nowadays it seems that the tooth fairy is leaving much more than what I was used to. Anyhow, so I'm just going to go through a bunch of stuff here. This is also from an old Studio Calico kit, and they're just some acetate ephemera pieces. And I'm not really a big fan of maybe the quotes or words that are included in it. I haven't really figured out what kind of layout to use it on. I'm using it more for the colors and the layering. So I'm going to stick with a more of a gray, blue, green color scheme here, and I picked out some of the green stuff. One that I picked out says wonderful on it, but I don't end up using it, and I have a bunch of these little stars as well. So I'm just going to put some of the stuff to the side that I think I may want to use a little bit later. I haven't decided where I want them to go. And now I have these chipboard pieces, and I am going to use a couple of them here. I am going to use the number 1 only because it is his first loose tooth, and I'm going to use some of these triangles as well. I really like the gold foil that's been included in them. I just like the shine and sparkle that it adds to it, so I am going to use that. I'm going to place them around here and there and just try to figure out where I want them. I always try, when I am using something so angled like this triangle or an arrow, to make sure that they are pointing towards the photo, just to draw your eye into where you want the focus to be. I don't necessarily like to have them pointing off the page, because then your eye almost kind of tries to follow that, and there's nothing there obviously, so I want it to point in towards the photos. So I'm just going to measure here how wide my two photos side by side end up being, so that I know how big to cut my layering pieces. So I'm going to cut both of them. I measured the first one, and then the next one I know that I want it to be slightly larger than the first one, so I'm just going to lay it on top and kind of put my finger, like just mark it where I'm going to cut. It doesn't have to be exact. I got lucky with this black tag. It was just laying around, and I put my photo on top, and it just fit perfectly. I didn't even have to trim my photo, so I knew that I wanted to use that as well, just because it fits so perfectly, not necessarily because for any other reason. It just fit, so I wanted to use it. I wanted to make sure I used it. So again, I'm going to play with these triangles and make sure that they are pointing, like I said, towards the photo, towards the center. Now I didn't start this layout with an idea of how I wanted it to go or how I wanted it to look. I just pulled out a bunch of stuff from my stash that I knew that I wanted to use. So at this point here, I have already matted my white background paper onto this black and white paper that I had previously used and gutted. So I am going to use that as the border around my white background paper, and now I am going to add some Heidi Swap Color Shine in black, and I'm just using the packaging technique. So you had seen that I put some of the mist onto some packaging and then I added some water just to dilute it a little bit and to have it move around just a little bit easier. So I am going to just add some ink splatters, just a little bit darker, and then I'm going to kind of soak some of them up just so that they don't smudge while I'm working. So while that dries, I am going to assemble my layers as well as stick my pictures onto here. So you can see that that just fits perfectly. And like I said, I didn't even have to trim it, so it was just luck, I guess. I do have to apologize for the glare that are on the photos, as well as sometimes on the cutting mat or anything reflective that's coming into frame, just because the lights were directly above me, and so it's just inevitable it's gonna glare. I do hope that the lighting in this video is a little better than they have been before. I have been trying to play around with it, so please let me know if I still need to adjust the brightness or the lighting or anything like that, and I will try and get that done for you for the next video. So here I've assembled basically my entire cluster of photos here, and I have added a layer of gray tulle to the back, and I am going to just stick that down. I wanted to make sure that it was centered, so I did use my T-square ruler and I measured that out. And now I'm going to bring back my embellishments that I have previously selected. So I have all of these acetate pieces that I am going to try and figure out where to put, and then I am going to bring back my chipboard pieces as well. I also have this gray bow, that one there, that I had cut using my silhouette at the previous retreat that we had attended, and I still had lying around, so I wanted to use that. I really do like using my stapler. When I first got it, I was noticing that I wasn't using it as much. I was really afraid to have the staples show, but I feel like it's really useful for attaching things like vellum and acetate, things that are very transparent and you don't want to see like the big blob of glue behind it. If you just embrace the staple as kind of a different embellishment, then it's a little bit easier to try and figure out how to adhere those pieces that you don't want the glue shining through. Oh, sorry, I thought I had already added the tulle. Apparently not. So I am going to add it now. I have this white with the black polka dots, which I'm not going to use, but I also have this gray, this one here, this gray one that I'm going to use. You can't really see it in the video so much, but in real life it's there. You can tell it's there. So I really like that. It just gives a little extra texture, another layer behind the photos. So I'm just going to fold it up so I can trim it evenly, and I'm going to add it there if it decides to cooperate. There we go. I believe that I end up adhering it just with my ATG and maybe even some hot glue, because it's pretty easy to stick down. As long as the picture is stuck down in between the spaces, then the tool will stay intact. So at this point I thought I maybe wanted to add a little nest or a little bundle of thread, and I didn't really like it, so I took that away. So here is where I'm basically deciding that I want to have pretty much a vertical design with the photo and my clusters, and I'm going to add that there. I've also pulled out some star sequins, I guess you can call them, and they are a little bit gold and teal, and they came in a silhouette kit, and I'm going to add those as well. And I really liked the stars just because it kind of gave you the feeling of nighttime with the tooth fairy kind of theme going on. So I'm going to add that. So I also have these other black sequins, as well as they are black enamel dots that I don't want to say created, but that I had previously made using the Nuvo drops, which I love. You can actually squeeze them out onto a piece of packaging, let them dry, and then they'll peel off, and then you can use them later and just stick them down with some hot glue or just some white glue. So I really like that, because then I can send, I'm really into some snail mail right now, so I'll send that to my pen pals and my swap partners. And then if I don't have any, I'll just use it directly onto the paper, and it's not a big deal. I like it because you can make any size that you want. You can make really, really tiny ones. You can make shapes and hearts and really big ones. So it's really good. So at this point, I am going to try and decide my title and what font I want to use. I do have to apologize again if you are hearing some screaming children in the background. My kids and my niece and nephew are outside playing in the pool, so you might hear some screams as they're jumping into the pool, and maybe some splashes as well. So I do apologize, but it is a nice day today. The last couple of weeks have been really rainy. The last couple of days have been really cold, and it's no fair because it's the end of summer. It's the end of August, and it really should be much warmer than it has been, but it hasn't been. So today is a good day, so we're going to go swimming. So here I'm working on my title. I'm just going to go back to the layout, and I have realized that I do like this font, but I don't have another T, so I am going to use the Z that comes in the alphabet, because how many words really are you going to spell with the letter Z? So I took one of the straight pieces from the Z and I just added it to an L. I turned it upside down and just created a T. And you can't really tell. They're the same width, same color, so it's good. It worked out. So I am just going to line it up with my T-square ruler. I have counted already which letter is going to be the middle point. So I'm going to start with that and work my way out, just to make sure that it's all centered. So there's my title, First Loose Tooth. And then I have found some of these white rubber stars that, again, you can't really see, but I am going to add. And I'm going to adhere them using some gesso, just because it does stick better to the smooth surface of the rubber. I have tried using white glue, I've tried using hot glue, and it doesn't stick nearly as well. I think if you try and peel it off, it comes off really easily. So I am going to try and play around with some other elements that don't necessarily really make it onto the page. So I believe now I am going to add some more black splatters, just because a lot of the picture and the other elements covered up the splatters that I have already placed. And then I realized, oh my gosh, that's too much. So I'm going to stop right now and call it a day. Then I'm going to go in just more controlled with some of the black Nuvo drops. Nouveau drops that I had mentioned before, and just do a couple little ones here and there. And that will pretty much be the layout. So I want to say thank you so much to all of our new subscribers. We're really excited and we're really thankful that you have decided to join us, and I hope you like this video, and I hope you come back for the next one. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you next time. Bye!